Business or cost accounting. This module is going to focus on the following. First, concepts. You will need to define, identify, and explain some of the manufacturing concepts. It is a grade 11 topic. Most of the concepts is revision. So you are going to check on these ones on page 430. Second, we need to prepare financial statements of a manufacturing entity. There are quite a number of financial statements, which are production cost statement on page 442, short form income statement, and the accompanying notes to the production cost statement. The notes are note 1, 2, 3 for the production cost statement. Note 1, it is direct material cost, direct labor cost, and factory overhead cost. Then also notes to the short form income statement. We have note number 4, 5, 6 for selling and distribution cost, administration cost, and cost of finished goods sold. You will need also to know unit cost and break-even analysis, and lastly ethical issues and internal controls. On concepts, we need to know the definition of manufacturing business. It is a business that converts raw materials through a manufacturing process into finished goods. Examples: in Limpopo, you are going to add others. Sasco, they manufacture bread from wheat or flour. Coca-Cola, they also manufacture cool drinks. I want you to add some other examples. Enterprise, you can mention them. You are going to do revision on these concepts and do task 13.1. Manufacturing business have 3 different departments. So if one is working at Coca-Cola, it is time you need to ask, in which department do you work? We have the administration department, where office duties are performed. We have some costs under this department are accounting salary, receptionist salary, office stationery, office rent, office insurance, depreciation of office equipment, and office telephone. I want to say this at the beginning, that these expenses, we have 3 departments, need to be shared. So you are going to notice as we do the factory overhead costs, there's need to share these expenses according to the departments. Our next department, which is more important, is the factory. In the factory, that is where the actual manufacturing is taking place. Raw materials are taken through a manufacturing process to produce finished products. Then examples of these manufacturing costs are direct and indirect material cost, direct and indirect labor cost, and factory overheads. So all the expenses with the prefix factory, they fall in this department. The last department is selling and distribution. The department is responsible for advertising, selling, and delivery of the finished goods to customers. Examples of costs include salesperson commission, salary of truck drivers, bed desks, stationery, rent, depreciation of vehicles, and advertising. Now, these manufacturing costs are divided into 3. there are three main types of costs. We were looking at departments. Now we have three main types of costs, which are material costs. These material costs, I think from your concepts you have noticed that we have direct and we have indirect costs, but in note 1 we only record direct material costs. We have labor costs. This is also from the concepts. We have direct, we have indirect labor, but in note 2 we only record direct labor. Then the last type of costs, we just group them as factory overheads. These are costs which are involved in the manufacturing of a product, but they are not direct material or direct labor. They are also calculated in note 3. You are going to notice that note 3 is a bit challenging because of this distribution of expenses into different departments. Remember, we have the admin, the selling and distribution, and the factory. You might notice that rent, we must pay rent for the factory, we must pay rent for selling and distribution, we must pay rent for administration. Let us look now on direct material cost, how this one is calculated. We calculate direct material costs in two ways. We are referring to note 1. You will remember from grade 11 that the same information was recorded in the raw material stock account, where you had a ledger, the debit and the credit. Now in grade 12 we are not doing this calculation in the form of a ledger account. We are doing it in the form of a note. The difference is in the presentation. We present our information in vertical format. Now, all the costs that are involved to bring material to the business, they are part of the direct material cost. Our opening stock, which is stock from the previous year, we add what was purchased minus what was returned. All the carriage or delivery cost, it is added. If we are importing raw materials, we also add our customs and import duty. Then we subtract closing stock to give us now the cost of raw materials which are used. Another way is to calculate it logically. It is the same information, but we do not present it in a vertical format like a note. We just work it horizontally. I call that method logical method to calculate direct material cost. Now, direct labor costs seem to be a bit challenging because the way we calculate it, it requires our understanding of grade 10 salaries and wages topic. Now, the direct labor cost consists of only direct labor is calculated in note 2, that is on page 433. This is wages paid to factory workers directly involved in the manufacturing process. So we need now to know, whenever you are required to calculate labor costs, whether it is direct or indirect, we must know that the formula is our gross wages plus total contributions plus any other allowances or bonus that are paid to the workers. Also remember that gross wages, it is our normal time or basic wages plus overtime wages. How do we calculate our basic wages and normal time wages? Basic wages, we say our number of hours worked for normal time multiplied by the normal time rate. This will give us our basic wage or normal time wages. Overtime wages, we are saying overtime hours worked multiplied by overtime rate. When we calculate overtime rate, normally it is 1.5 times our normal time rate, it gives us the overtime rate. If it is not given, it is just a guideline. If you work on public holidays and on Sundays, we calculate our overtime rate by saying our normal time multiplied by 2, but the question will always give us guideline. Then you need also to know that what we are showing in our financial statements and notes, it is information for the whole year. So when you are calculating your labor costs, if you are given monthly, you must remember to multiply it by 12. If you are given weekly, you must remember to multiply it by 52, because we have 52 weeks in a year. Factory overheads. These are costs which are involved in manufacturing of a product, but they are not direct. We have explained this. The note, it starts with indirect material. Indirect material are also known as consumable stores. You are going to notice that some question papers will refer to it as consumable stores, others indirect material. It is referring to the same thing. Then we also add indirect labor. Our indirect labor, we are referring to salaries or wages that are paid to workers who are not directly involved in the manufacturing of a business, of a product, like supervisors, factory cleaners. They are paid, but they are not directly involved. Now, still, as we calculate indirect labor, we still have to know it is gross salary or wages plus total contribution plus any bonus or allowance given to the workers. Then we also add any other factory expenses. These factory expenses are the ones which must be divided among the 3 departments: the factory, the admin, and the selling and distribution. Now, there are different criteria that can be used to share or divide the expenses. We can use percentages. A question might say 80% of rent must be charged to the factory. We can also use ratios. Rent can be apportioned between admin, factory, and selling in the ratio 3:2:1. So you can use ratios to apportion your expenses, and we can also use the floor space in square meters to divide rent between the different departments. Now, there are some activities that we need to do as we are preparing ourselves. Our activities are going to concentrate on note 1, note 2, and note 3 for now. These are notes for the production cost statement. I have attached a separate PDF with activities, questions, and the answer book.